Grace and peace, Dr. Tammy here. Listen, I wanted to talk to you during this holiday season. We realize that Christmas is tomorrow, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about grief, especially coping. There's unhealthy coping and there's healthy coping. So I just wanted to speak with you guys just for a moment about that because around this Christmas season, a lot of people are grieving and they really don't know how to cope with it. A lot of people just suppress it and bury it and just keep moving. And I found out that's not one of the healthiest ways. Just from my personal experience, suppressing only makes you explode. And realizing that grief is unavoidable. There's nothing that we can do about it, but you have to process your way through it. And coping is one of the ways to get through it. And coping is a choice. It's always a choice, and purpose is shaped in how we cope. There's always purpose on our life, but I've realized, and just from my experience, I've seen people not cope well and just literally just go down this downward spiral, just never get back because of grief. Grief is not the problem, but how we cope determines whether grief becomes a prison for us or a pathway for us. And it can be a prison. I've experienced the time I felt like I was in a prison. All I did was just moped around and just cried. And, I was sad all the time. I was upset. I was angry. I was moody. All of those things. Grief simply had control over me. So I had to choose a different path for myself. So how we live with the pain while healing is so important because it's going to be painful. There's no way around it. You got to sit in the pain. You have to feel the pain. You have to experience the pain. And it doesn't mean that because you're feeling the pain that you're not strong. It just means that you have to get through that part of grief. It's not forgetting about your loved one or the thing that you held dear to your heart. Because let me place a little pin right here. Grief does not only have to be losing a loved one. It could be anything that was dear to you that you no longer have, that's no longer with you. So one thing I want to let you know during coping, don't rush it. Do not rush how you process through the grief, and do not pretend that you're okay when you're not okay. I did a post on my Facebook yesterday, and it says, the post was really talking about how you're dealing with things, and we're talking about healing, but you cannot heal if you're too embarrassed to admit that you're hurting. Let me say that again. You cannot heal if you're not willing to admit that you're hurting. And that goes back to my previous point. Do not pretend. You cannot pretend that you're okay and you're not okay, because once you continue to act that you're okay, after a while, you're going to explode. After a while, you're just going to lose it. And these are some of the points that I brought out in my book, Grieving Through It. So if you want a great read on how to get through the grief, my book, Grieving Through It, is on Amazon. You can get a copy of my book. But grief demands a response. Ignoring it does not make it disappear. I hate to bust your bubble, but ignoring grief does not make it disappear. It only redirects in another direction, but it's still there. It goes through so many different channels, and it will interrupt your life. It'll interrupt work. Listen, I went to work a few days after losing my son and had to get up and leave. I couldn't work. I told my boss, I can't be here. I cannot stay here. There were times I had preaching engagements on the calendar, and I said to my husband, baby, you got to call them and tell them I can't make it. Grief, it does not disappear. You just have to learn how to deal with it. And I know people look at me, they were like, oh, you're so strong, because they see me moving and preaching and doing all these great, grand things. But it has not always been this way. I had to learn how to cope in a healthy way, because it's inevitable. Your grief is inevitable. You're going to have to go through it. It can destroy you, or it can really make you. It can bring out who you really are and who you're really destined to be. Some of the ways of unhealthy coping is refusing to feel. You're just burying your feelings, and you're just putting everything on the back burner. You're staying busy. You're staying numb, and you're saying I'm fine when you're really not fine. So the delayed pain becomes pain multiplied after a while. Delayed pain, you feel like it's not there because you did all these things to make it go away. But then after a while, the pain is so much more greater than it was if you would have just dealt with it in the moment. Sometimes you just got to stop and cry. You just have to take a breather. There's this thing that I do now that when I feel overwhelmed, I'll just take several deep breaths. I breathe in slowly and I breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And my husband was like, what's wrong with you? And I can do better about telling him exactly what's wrong with me. But in that moment, I'm trying to get this off of me. I'm trying to get through this. And you have to learn a coping mechanism that works for you, because suppressing it's not it. Holding in your emotions, avoiding conversations, refusing to cry, all of those things, they sound good in the moment, but what you suppress emotionally will express itself physically or relationally down the road. You will spaz out. You will explode. You're snapping at people. You're being moody. All of these things is because you're not coping in a normal, healthy way. Another thing to avoid when you're trying to grieve is self-medication. Some people use substances, and most of the time it's just to relax. It's just to get that sleep that you have not been able to get. They drink alcohol. They try to escape. They try to isolate themselves. All of those things feel okay in the moment. But guess what? When that moment is over, the grief is still staring you right in your face. It's still there. It does not go away. It's only a temporary relief. It's not a permanent fix. It's a temporary relief. And when the awareness rubs off, the grief is still there, but it's even louder than it was before. It gets worse and it gets worse. And you find yourself spiraling down this long downward spiral. One unhealthy choice after another. Pain untreated becomes an addiction at risk. Grief unmanaged becomes an identity erosion. I mean, you won't know if you're going or coming. You don't know who you really are, what your purpose is, what you're supposed to be doing, because you're so consumed by the grief. Unhealthy coping does not heal the pain. It only hands the pain a steering wheel to drive you further and further away from your purpose, from where you're supposed to be. So, whenever you're in these feelings and these emotions, I need you to sit in the sadness. I need you to feel the anger. I always say the Bible says, be angry and sin not. You can feel the anger. Just don't be, mean and nasty and hateful to other people and do spiteful, nasty things to people because you're hurting. But you need to feel that numbness. There's another phase or stage of grief is guilt. A lot of times we want to blame ourselves and we say, I wish I could have did more. I wish I should have been there. All of these things are normal. They're a normal part of grieving. All these feelings are things that you need to feel, and they must be felt and they must be released. The problem is when we're grieving, we like to stay stuck in one or two or three of those things. Sometimes you feel several at the same time and they go through different phases and not even in order, but you cannot stay stuck there. That's where self-care comes in. Self-care helps you survive and maneuver through the grief. You got to get through it. My book talks about grieving through it. You can't stay in it. You have to get through it. When you're getting through it, sometimes you got to make yourself eat a little something. You won't have an appetite. You got to put something on your stomach. You have to stay hydrated. You have to get rest, because this is what I've learned about grief. Sometimes you don't sleep at night. You toss and you turn. But when your body feels sleepy, if you're not at work, take a nap. Obey your body, because your body knows exactly what it needs. And it's okay to ask for help. We feel like we got to do all of this by ourselves. You're not alone. There are people that are willing to help you. Most of the time, they're just giving you your space and they're just waiting on you to tell them what you need. Open your mouth. Tell people what you need, especially if they're asking, let me know if there's something that I can do. A lot of people really mean that, but they don't want to overstep. So taking care of your body, your self-care, getting rest and nourishment is a part of the grieving process. It's a part of your soul care. And you don't have to be strong. You don't have to be strong all the time. And sometimes you don't have to be strong at all. You just have to be honest. You just have to be honest with letting people know where you are, at least your person, whoever that person is. It could be your spouse. It could be your sibling. It could be your counselor. It could be your therapist, whoever it is. Let them know where you are so that you can get from point A to point B without judging yourself. Because sometimes when we don't admit where we are, then we beat ourselves up because we're not where we think we should be. You have to learn how to express yourself in a healthy way. You got to get it out. A lot of times things weigh so heavy on us, you have to vent. It could be a bad breakup or a bad divorce, or you could have lost your job, your career, something that you put blood, sweat, and tears in, and all of a sudden, it's gone. It's things just exploded and you had no control over it. Those are the things that you need to express. Those are the things that you have to vent and get off of you. You may need to journal, like I said, talking to someone. Sometimes just take it to God, pray about it. Create a safe space for you to get these things off of you. Expression gives the pain a voice. Your pain has to have a voice. Silence gives the pain a stronghold. And when you don't give it a voice, a lot of times it's almost like you're afraid of it. You're afraid to admit where you really are. So you have to give it a voice so that you can get in front of it and allow it to ease away so that it doesn't take control over you. When you process something, you process through it so it doesn't control you and it doesn't consume you. But listen, you got to do that at your own pace. Don't allow anybody to rush you. Don't put any timelines on your grief. Don't compare yourself to somebody else because, they're okay and I'm not, or someone went through the same thing and they're fine, or they've already moved on. They've, found somebody else and they remarried and here I am still crying. You got to get it out. But one thing you got to put in the back of your mind is it won't always be like this. I can't get stuck in this place, because if you don't tell yourself that you can't get stuck, then believe me, you will get stuck. You can't pressure yourself, but you have to know that it gets better. You have to know that there's sunshine on the other side of through, and you have to get through it. And your healing is personal. It's personal, and it doesn't come in a certain order. It's not A, B, C, D. It could be D, A. You just have to feel your way through. Progress is not speed. Let me say that again. Progress is not speed. You may be moving slower than somebody else, but as long as you're moving, you got to have that movement. Progress is movement. It's not speed. So you have to know that no matter what, you're getting through it and you're not remaining stuck. There's purpose in connection. You got to have people that you can connect with. Purpose or not, it doesn't cancel your grief. Purpose often arises from grief. A lot of times you don't really know what's on the inside of you until you go through something traumatic, until you go through something devastating. That's grief will really bring out what's on the inside of you. It could be the good things, it could be the bad things, but I'd like to always allow my grief to bring out something better in me, or make me better, make me greater at something than I wasn't before. Grief gives you a reason to rise. It gives you a reason to get up. It gives you a reason to stand firm. It gives you a reason to be motivated and keep going, because if not, the pain sometimes can get so severe that it feels like you're not even breathing. Although you know you're breathing, sometimes you can start hyperventilating. You can have a panic attack. There's so many things that come out of grief when you don't process your way through it in a healthy way. So you want to ask yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? It's not for me to be sad and depressed. It's not for me to just cry and just seem like I'm just moping my life away. You have to shift your thinking. You have to find out who you really are and what your purpose here is on the earth. I talked about it before a little bit in my book. When you find out what your purpose is, then you can use that grief to bring awareness to grief. You can use that grief to really bring something great out of who they were. They create a legacy or a foundation or do something in their honor. Every year you can do, one of my friends, Sister Kashana, she always gives a give back. She lost her son and she gives a give back every year. She gives back to the community. There are things that can help you find purpose in the midst of your grief. Purpose does not erase the pain. It just helps you get through it. It gives the pain somewhere to go. Purpose is built. It is not found. There's work. There's dedication. It's one great decision at a time, one healthy choice at a time, one day at a time, one smile at a time, one hug at a time. Some days your purpose is just getting up. Other days it's just simply breathing. Another day is just being present. Sometimes we're there, we're in the room, but we are not present. Our mind is so stuck on the loss that we are really not present. Other days it can be, helping someone. It could be sharing your story. It could be showing compassion to somebody that's been where you are. Many times I've helped people get through grief while I'm grieving and going through myself. Just because you're not on the other side of it, and you never will be on the other side of it, it doesn't go away. It gets easier, but it doesn't go away. Just because you're not on the other side of it does not mean that you can't show someone else compassion while they're in it and help them get through. Sometimes you can help each other. All of that counts, but you got to have like a legacy thinking. And that's one of the things I wanted to do, and we're already working on, is just starting a foundation for my son. He loved music. He was an awesome drummer. He was an awesome singer. I want kids to be able to get music lessons, singing lessons, drum lessons, a lot of different things that he loved and believed in, although he was only 19 and there's so many other things that he could have did, but he traveled the world just singing and touching people's lives and making them feel better just by his voice. So we want to make sure we bring those positive things out of the grief. What part of their life still speaks? How did they make people feel? Those are things that you want to bring out. Purpose can be continuing a legacy, even quietly, even privately, just blessing people behind the scenes. It doesn't have to be anything big and grand. You don't have to do something big all the time. You just have to do something meaningful. You just got to do something meaningful. Going through grief does not have to be traumatic for a long season, but it needs to be meaningful. So let me just recap. Unhealthy coping. You want to avoid suppression. You want to avoid isolation. You want to avoid self-medication. All of those things leads to you being stuck and staying in that place and getting worse and worse. But a healthy coping is feeling it, expressing it, caring for yourself, allowing yourself that allotted time that you need to get through it, which only leads to healing and purpose. So in my closing, I want you to declare with me, if you are going through grief, my grief will not destroy me. My coping will be healthy. My pain will not be wasted, and my purpose is still rising in me. Grief is a part of your story. Coping determines the chapter, and purpose is still being written. Purpose is still being written. You are not stuck. You are processing. Continue to process. Don't you dare get stuck. Dry your tears and cry some more. Dry your tears and scream. Dry your tears and do something to get that frustration off of you in a healthy way. But keep going. You got to keep going. You are not broken. You are becoming. Listen, I challenge you to be everything that God has called you to be, everything that you need to be for your children, for your grandchildren, for your siblings, for your family, for your friends. You know, people are counting on you. People need you to survive. I need you to survive. So listen, whatever you do, do not get stuck. Keep going and keep grieving through it. God bless you. I love you and I mean it.
If this message touched you, Grieving Through It by Dr. Tammy Wilson is your next step. It addresses real grief, death, relationships, life loss with faith, emotional wisdom, and practical healing tools. Available now on Amazon. Don't delay your healing.